Most people who take their medication every day don't stop to think that something as ordinary as fruit juice or a salty snack could quietly sabotage their treatment. But what if those everyday choices were quietly putting your heart at risk? This isn't about scare tactics or fine print warnings buried in a pamphlet. This is about what no one tells you at the pharmacy counter. How 5 specific things you might be doing right now could reduce the power of your blood pressure medication, and maybe even increase your risk of a life-threatening event. If you're taking Amlodipine or know someone who is, this video could be the most important one you watch all year. Because while Amlodipine is a powerful and widely prescribed tool for controlling blood pressure, it's not invincible, and what you do around it, what you eat, drink, skip, or combine, can make all the difference between stable health and sudden setbacks. Let's be clear, this isn't medical fear-mongering. It's about knowledge that empowers. Understanding how your lifestyle and medication interact is like knowing the rules of a game. Without that insight, you're flying blind, and that's especially risky as we age. Your body changes. Metabolism slows. Side effects creep in quicker. What worked in your 40s could be dangerous in your 70s. So let's get ahead of that. Let's pull back the curtain and reveal the 5 things every person on Amlodipine should avoid, not based on abstract science alone, but backed by real-world stories, practical tips, and a perspective grounded in care and clarity. We'll begin with something surprisingly sweet that might be souring your health plan without you even knowing it. 1. Grapefruit and grapefruit juice contains furanocoumarins that inhibit enzymes responsible for breaking down amlodipine. This leads to dangerously high medication levels, causing low blood pressure, dizziness, and fainting. Applies to all forms: fresh fruit, juice, dried, or supplements. Let's begin where most people least expect danger: your breakfast table. That bright, citrusy glass of grapefruit juice you've always thought was healthy. It could be turning your medication into a hazard. Grapefruit, and by extension grapefruit juice, may seem innocent, even beneficial. But for people on Amlodipine, it's anything but. Here's the truth most don't know. Grapefruit contains compounds called furanocoumarins. These chemicals interfere with enzymes in your digestive system, specifically the ones responsible for breaking down drugs like amlodipine. The result? Your body ends up absorbing more medication than intended. And while that might sound like extra strength or faster results, it's not. It's danger. Too much amlodipine in your bloodstream can send your blood pressure plummeting. We're talking dizziness, fainting, blurred vision symptoms that aren't just unpleasant, but life-threatening, especially for seniors who may already be at risk of falls or fractures. The scary part? It only takes 1 glass. Even a modest serving of grapefruit juice can amplify the medication's potency in unpredictable ways. And this isn't speculation. There are countless real-life examples. Take Dorothy, 72, from Ohio. She drank grapefruit juice every morning for years. But shortly after starting Amlodipine, she began experiencing episodes of lightheadedness and fatigue. Her doctors ran tests. Everything looked fine on paper, except her medication was working overtime. Once she cut the grapefruit juice, her blood pressure stabilized and her symptoms vanished. It's that simple and that serious. And don't think you're safe just because you skip the juice. Grapefruit in any form, fresh, dried, or supplement, poses the same risk. Even certain related citrus fruits like Seville oranges can create similar problems. But here's a silver lining. Not all citrus is off the table. Regular oranges, lemons, and limes don't contain furanocoumarins and are considered safe. The takeaway? Know what's on your plate and in your glass. Because what seems like a healthy habit might be quietly undermining your treatment. Avoiding grapefruit may feel like a small sacrifice, but when the trade-off is a steadier heart, fewer side effects, and a stronger sense of control over your health, it's absolutely worth it. 2. Excessive salt intake. High sodium intake increases blood pressure, counteracting amlodipine's effects. Older adults are more sensitive due to reduced kidney efficiency, linked to increased risks of stroke, heart attack, and heart failure. Common hidden sources: canned soups, frozen meals, bread, and processed foods. Now let's move from your breakfast table to your salt shaker. Because if you're faithfully taking amlodipine, but still loading your meals with salt, you might be canceling out your own medication. It's easy to overlook. Salt is everywhere in the foods we cook, the snacks we crave, and especially in the processed meals we rely on when we're tired or short on time. But here's what matters most. Sodium is a direct opponent of amlodipine. While your medication works to relax and widen blood vessels, reducing the pressure on your heart, excess salt does the exact opposite. It causes your body to retain water, increases blood volume, and adds strain to your cardiovascular system. Think of it like trying to row upstream with one oar. You're working against yourself. And for seniors, this isn't just inconvenient, it's dangerous. As we age, our kidneys become less efficient at filtering out sodium, which means high salt intake leads to higher water retention, which in turn drives up blood pressure. That's why the same salty snack you enjoyed at 40 may hit you like a freight train at 70. Let me introduce you to James, a 78-year-old retiree from Michigan. He was religiously taking amlodipine, yet his blood pressure remained stubbornly high. It wasn't until his doctor asked him to keep a food journal that the problem came into focus. James loved pretzels, canned soups, and added salt liberally to nearly every meal. Once he made the shift switching to fresh foods, reading labels, cutting out hidden sodium, his numbers dropped, and for the first time in years, he felt genuinely energized. That's the power of understanding the quiet battle happening in your diet. It's not just the salt you see, it's the salt you don't. Bread, salad dressings, frozen dinners, even certain cereals contain shocking amounts of sodium. You don't have to go salt-free to be safe, but you do need to be salt-aware. Choose low-sodium alternatives. Cook at home more often. Taste before you season. It's these small decisions that add up to lasting change. And when you cut the key, salt, you're not just protecting your heart, you're amplifying the effectiveness of the very medication you trust to keep you well. So let amlodipine do its job and don't make it fight a battle it doesn't have to. 3. Alcohol consumption. Both alcohol and amlodipine dilate blood vessels, risking excessive blood pressure drops, can cause dizziness, fainting, arrhythmias, and interference with liver metabolism. Also leads to poor sleep, dehydration, and unhealthy choices. Moderation or abstaining is advised. Consult your doctor. Asterisk from the kitchen. We now turn to another common culprit, something social, something comforting, and something potentially dangerous when you're on amlodipine. Alcohol. For many, a glass of wine at dinner or a beer with friends isn't just a drink. It's tradition, relaxation, even ritual. But when you mix alcohol with amlodipine, you're not just blending tastes, you're overlapping effects that can spiral into serious problems. Why? because both amlodipine and alcohol dilate your blood vessels. Independently, that action is helpful. But together, it's a double down that your body may not be prepared for, especially as you get older. The result? Blood pressure that drops too low. And what follows is often dizziness, lightheadedness, or even fainting. Now picture that happening while you're climbing stairs, stepping off a curb, or just getting out of bed in the middle of the night. That's not just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. And for seniors, a fall can be more than a stumble. It can lead to fractures, hospital stays, and long-term loss of independence. Meet John, a 75-year-old retired teacher from Colorado. He wasn't a heavy drinker, just a glass of red wine a few nights a week. But after starting Amlodipine, he began to notice changes. The wine made him woozy. He felt off balance and strangely fatigued. His doctor quickly spotted the connection. The alcohol was amplifying the medication's effects. When John reduced his intake, the fog lifted and his energy returned. That experience isn't rare, it's real. And the risks don't stop at dizziness. Alcohol can interfere with your liver's ability to process medications like amlodipine, leading to unpredictable levels in your system. It can also disrupt your sleep, increase your heart rate, and tempt you into food choices that undercut your progress. In short, it chips away at your health in quiet, cumulative ways. But here's the nuance. It doesn't necessarily mean you can never drink again. For some, moderation may be safe, but that line varies by individual. That's why it's critical to talk with your doctor. Not just about whether you can drink, but how much, how often, and what signs to watch for. Because the question isn't, can I still have a drink? It's, can I afford the risk that comes with it? For some, that risk may be low. For others, especially those with balance issues, heart rhythm concerns, or multiple medications, it might be the one variable that tips everything out of control. The good news? Reducing alcohol, even slightly, can have a huge ripple effect on your energy, sleep, and stability. And for your heart, that might be the most meaningful toast of all. 4. Over-the-counter cold and allergy medications. Many contain decongestants, pseudoephedrine, phenylephrine, that raise blood pressure, negating amlodipine's effects. Risky for those with heart conditions. Also interact with other prescriptions. Safer alternatives include saline sprays, steam inhalation, or natural remedies. Check with a pharmacist. Asterisk. Now let's address something that most people dismiss as harmless. A quick fix from the medicine cabinet. Over-the-counter cold and allergy medications may seem like no big deal, but for someone taking amlodipine, they can be a silent saboteur. Why? Because many of these common remedies contain ingredients like pseudoephedrine or phenylephrine, powerful decongestants that work by constricting blood vessels. That action is the exact opposite of what amlodipine is trying to do. While amlodipine relaxes your arteries to ease blood flow and lower pressure, these decongestants tighten things up, raising your blood pressure and creating a biochemical tug-of-war inside your body. For someone managing heart disease or hypertension, that's a dangerous conflict. You may not feel the effects right away, but over time, or in moments of vulnerability like when you're sick, tired, or dehydrated, it can push your blood pressure into unsafe territory. Take Linda, a 68-year-old grandmother from Florida. During flu season, she reached for an over-the-counter cold and sinus pill, the kind she'd taken for years. But within hours, her blood pressure surged. She felt anxious, flushed, and short. of breath. At first, she thought it was the flu getting worse. But her doctor traced it to the decongestant, which was directly counteracting her amlodipine. Once she switched to a safer, medication-free remedy, her symptoms improved and her pressure returned to normal. This isn't just Linda's story. It's an everyday scenario that plays out in medicine cabinets all across the country. What makes it more dangerous is that these meds are so easily available. You don't need a prescription. You don't even need a conversation, just a few dollars and a swipe at the drugstore checkout. But what you do need is awareness. Read labels. Watch for ingredients ending in "-rine", like phenylephrine, or those labeled as nasal decongestants. Even combination pills for colds or allergies often contain hidden agents that spike your pressure. And don't assume that just because it's natural or herbal it's safe. Some so-called natural remedies can still elevate heart rate or interact poorly with your medication. Instead, consider gentler alternatives: saline nasal sprays, humidifiers, steam inhalation, or antihistamines without decongestants. And most importantly, always ask your doctor or pharmacist before taking any new medication, even if it's over the counter. Because every pill, every capsule, every drop matters when you're managing your heart health. The goal isn't to avoid treatment. It's to make sure that treatment helps, not harms. That's how you stay in control, not just of your symptoms, but of your safety. 5. Missing doses or abruptly stopping medication leads to blood pressure spikes and increases risk of stroke or heart attack. Amlodipine's effect builds over time. Consistency is key. Use reminders, pill organizers, and routine monitoring. Always consult your doctor before adjusting dosage. And now, we come to what may be the most deceptively dangerous mistake of all: not something you eat or drink, but something you don't do. Missing doses of amlodipine or stopping it abruptly. On the surface, it may seem like a small slip, a missed pill here, a skipped refill there. Maybe you felt fine that day. Maybe you thought you didn't need it anymore. But the truth is, with a medication like amlodipine, consistency isn't just helpful, it's life-saving. Here's why. Amlodipine works gradually. It's not a quick-fix drug, it's a long-game player. It builds up in your system over time, relaxing your blood vessels, easing the load on your heart, and maintaining stable pressure day after day. When you miss a dose, even once, you interrupt that stability. Your blood pressure can rebound, spiking unexpectedly. Do it a few times in a row. Now your cardiovascular system is swinging back and forth like a pendulum, and your heart doesn't. Like to play games. That's where real danger begins. And suddenly stopping altogether? That's like slamming the brakes on a car moving at highway speed. It jolts your body, especially if you've been taking the medication for weeks or months. That jolt can bring on chest pain, headaches, dizziness, or worse, a stroke or heart attack. Take George, an 80-year-old retired postal worker from Pennsylvania. He was feeling good, so good, in fact, that he thought maybe he didn't need his medication anymore. One missed dose turned into a week. Then came the dizzy spell, the intense headache, and an eye visit that scared him more than anything else had in years. It wasn't a random event. It was a direct result of stopping his amlodipine without medical advice. Fortunately, George recovered. But he also learned that feeling fine doesn't mean you're in the clear. It might just mean your medication is doing its job. And when you stop, you don't just undo progress, you invite a crisis. So how do you stay on track? Pill organizers, smartphone alarms, family reminders, even simple checklists. If side effects are bothering you, don't quietly stop the drug talk. To your doctor, adjustments can often be made safely. And make no mistake, skipping doses doesn't just put you at risk, it puts everything else you've worked for in jeopardy. The diet changes, the exercise, the commitment to living longer and stronger. It's all built on a foundation of consistency. Medication is not a suggestion, it's a strategy. And every skipped dose is like removing a brick from that foundation. Eventually things crack. But when you stay consistent, when you honor the plan your body depends on, you're doing more than taking the pill, you're taking control. And that is the essence of strength at any age. Now that we've explored the 5 major pitfalls, grapefruit, salt, alcohol, over-the-counter meds, and missed doses, you might be thinking, is it really that fragile? Is managing amlodipine this complex? But here's the shift in mindset. I want to offer, it's not about restriction, it's about alignment. Because when everything works together, your medication, your food choices, your routines, and your awareness, what you get isn't just lower blood pressure. You get stability. You get freedom. And that's the goal, not to live in fear of mistakes, but to build habits that make health feel natural, not forced. Let's talk about what alignment actually looks like in the real world. It's Dorothy reading juice labels at the store, knowing that skipping grapefruit is a win, not a sacrifice. It's James choosing a low-sodium soup and feeling empowered, not deprived. It's John swapping wine for sparkling water and realizing he sleeps better because of it. It's Linda checking the back of a cold medicine box and walking away because her health isn't worth a shortcut. And it's George setting his daily pill alarm, knowing he's not just taking his meds, he's keeping a promise to himself. These stories aren't just nice anecdotes, they're blueprints. They show that managing amlodipine isn't about being perfect, it's about being present. It's about paying attention to how your body responds, noticing the small signs, and adjusting before those small signs become serious symptoms. And for seniors especially, that attentiveness pays off in real, measurable ways: more energy, fewer falls, better sleep, and most importantly, more years with the clarity and strength to enjoy them. The real secret? It's not in the pill bottle, it's in your daily choices. When you treat amlodipine as a partner rather than a prescription, your health stops feeling like something you chase and starts becoming something you maintain. You stop surviving and start thriving. Because when your lifestyle supports your treatment supports your life. And now, as we bring this journey to a close, let's zoom out for a moment, beyond the 5 rules, beyond the labels, beyond the morning routines and missed pills, and ask the question that truly matters. What are you really doing when you choose to take your health seriously? You're not just managing blood pressure. You're reclaiming control in a world that so often tells us we're losing it. You're saying, this is my life, and I intend to live it fully, not just longer. That's what makes amlodipine more than a pill. It becomes a declaration. But here's the truth many overlook. The medication alone isn't enough. It's the ecosystem around it, the food you eat, the drinks you avoid, the vigilance you maintain, the habits you build that determines how well it works. It's not about being flawless, it's about being thoughtful. Grapefruit may be healthy for someone else, but not for you. Salt might seem small, but to your heart, it's thunder. Alcohol may relax your mind but strain your vessels. Cold meds may ease your nose but throw off your rhythm. And skipping your dose might feel like freedom, but it's actually a threat disguised as relief. Every one of those factors is a choice. And that's what's empowering. You're not at the mercy of your condition. You're not shackled to your prescription. You are actively shaping your outcome one grocery decision, one label read, one honest conversation with your doctor at a time. And that's where hope lives, not in perfection, but in participation. Let's be real. Growing older doesn't mean giving up joy or spontaneity. It means learning how to live with intention. And when you understand how your choices interact with your treatment, you don't just follow a plan, you lead it. So ask yourself, what's one small thing you can do today that supports your medication instead of working against it? Is it switching to lemon instead of grapefruit? Choosing fresh over frozen? Saying not tonight to alcohol? Picking up a pill organizer instead of winging it? Because those aren't tiny tasks, they're investments. In your clarity, in your strength, in the chapters still ahead. That's the real story of Amlodipine, not about what it limits, but about what it makes possible. A steadier heart, a safer tomorrow, and the knowledge that, even in the details, you are still in charge.